is in the house. Good morning, brother. We got to talk about some bees, man. When you gonna come on the show? We got to talk about bees, brother Carl. Man who took away my fear of bees, brother Carl. Bee whisperer. Good morning, everybody. All right. About happiness. Happiness. We're gonna talk about happiness today. I ran into a country that's trying to get it right. Not sure they're there, but damn it, they're trying. Sometimes it's about trying. Today we're gonna talk about the Bhutanese, the country of Bhutan, where they pursue happiness. It is the goal of their government to approach a gross national happiness. That's how they measure their society, by happiness, not by how much they can rob, steal, murder, and kill from other countries. Then they get upset at them when they come running at the border to get their stuff back, get you out of their country. So we're gonna talk about happiness. Happiness, happiness. What is happiness to you? Do you live in a country that gives a damn about your happiness? Or is it all about billionaires' happiness? Gross domestic product versus gross domestic happiness. It may not even be like a requirement to choose. You probably could make a society that has both. I found the story of the Bhutanese highly interesting. So you gotta look at that today. Highly interesting. I'm always about, look at what other people do better than you and mimic them. Don't look at what you do. Always say it's great and try to make it great again and try to put some hope back where it wasn't no damn hope, wasn't no hope. It was all kings and queens hope. It was all the murdery bastards hope, and bring the hope back. No, let's not do that. The hope wasn't back there. The hope is in places around the world with people who seem to have figured out a few things that we haven't. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Morning. Gross domestic happiness. And do you care? Do you care if you're happy? Do you care if your neighbors are happy? Do you care if the countries around you are happy? Do you care if your children, the future generation, is happy? Or is happy just not a thing? Happiness isn't unimportant. It's just unimportant. Happiness might not be a thing. Maybe I'm making it all up. Maybe it all is about just shoving as much money in a bank account as we can. I could be totally wrong. I'm just sharing my perspective. I was looking at the Bhutanese this morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Buddha. Good morning, Lynn. Brother Jay is in the house. Tammy, Mary, Sandra. Who else I see here? Deborah, Muhammad, Lori. Yeah, some great people, don't they? They look like Elaine. They look happy. They look happy. My God, how crazy is that? How crazy is that? A place that prioritizes the happiness of children. Isn't that just some tyranny? You see that, Buddha? That's just horrible. That's terrorism. A country that actually prioritizes the happiness of its citizens and the happiness of the next generation. So that's what we are. We're in Bhutan today. Bhutan. So I found a couple interesting things about Bhutan. I have to look at it. Because they're slowly moving forward. They're slowly moving forward. Is it Halloween? Is Halloween today? Oh man, it is Halloween today. Who told Deborah? Thank you, Deborah. You know what? I don't know. I wasn't watching what the monkeys were doing today. I didn't pay attention. I clicked for a minute and peeked at the news, but then I thought about it, sister, and I was just like, you know what? I'm not really, I don't know that I want to know what the monkeys up to today, because I'm guessing. They're swinging from the trees. I'm pretty sure they're eating bananas. I'm pretty daggone sure the monkey-minded people, the monkey-brain people, sniffing each other's anuses to try to figure out what they ate for lunch. I know they are. I don't have to look. I don't know. It's something in there. It's something about some Kavanaugh, some caravans, and ignoring poor people, doing everything that the kings and the queens want them to do. So I didn't want to look at that today. I didn't know I was Halloween. Happy Halloween. You know what? I don't spend much time paying attention to Halloween because it's my middle son's birthday. His birthday is on Halloween. So y'all wish him a happy birthday. Phenomenal young mind in that man. Know what that man told me this morning? We were having a conversation. I was like, son, you're 18, man. We come from a military family. I said, you can now defend your country. You can serve and fight for your country, son. You're 18, you're a man now. You're going to start having hair popping out your chest. You know what my son did? He looked at me and he said, Dad, he said, I can't fight for the country. All I can do is go fight other countries. I was like, whoa. I said, what'd you just say to me? He said, Dad, he said, I can't fight for my country. We don't do that. All we do is fight other countries. Whoa. Blew me away. Blew me away. That man gave me a happy birthday. It's his birthday. He gave me a birthday present. I just sat there, oh my God, you are figuring it out. You are really starting to see through this nonsense. So that made me, so I'm happy today. That's why I want to talk, part of why I want to talk about happiness. That man made me happy this morning. He told me that. He understands. He understands that that's what we do. There's one thing, if you're defending your nation, it's usually in your nation. If you're defending your country, usually it's in your country. If you're sending young men and women to go kill other people in other parts of the world, you are not defending your country. You have a king or a queen that is lying to you. And it's your job not to be stupid and agree with it and go along with it. That's all I'm saying. So I come from a military family. We had various members of the family die because of the military industrial complex. So I don't really have any interest in, you know, my form of patriotism is to the human race and it's to the people who do live around me. Mind you, you come here, we got something for you. But in reality, we don't. So anyway, I didn't want to go off on that. He just blew me away this morning. He blew me away. I had a little tear in my eye, like, I'm doing something right. You know, there's proud moments as a parent. I'm doing something right. Oh my goodness. You know, because that's all we can do. That's all we can do. Sometimes people say, you're naive. You're naive. If you help people, they'll kill you and eat your food and sit on your sofa. Like, yeah, they probably will. But all we're here to do is to make a better next generation. All we're here to do is to make more happiness for the next kids. Everybody's kids, not just your kids, everybody's kids. Because when everybody's kids are happy, we're happy-ish. I'd settle for happy-ish. But damn it, let's not make the next generation stupid as we are, living in the monkey mind, the reptilian mind, using violence to solve every daggone thing. I gotta talk about the Bhutanese. There's so much on my mind this morning. Blew me away. I love these people. Don't even know these people. I love these people. Just the philosophies they have in terms of building a government that prioritizes the happiness of its people. And this is how I know everybody's connected. Because we talked about this a couple months ago, and we brought it up here and there and talked about it would be a good idea if we measured nations by how blessed the people were, how happy they are, how healthy they are, how well adjusted they are, how many few psychopaths that they got running around, how much they're reducing mental illness, how much rape is disappearing, how much violent acts and violent crime is going away. And it was awesome that people around the world are all having this same thought. How do we make something better? So that's their philosophy in the Bhutanese. And I click, we can watch a video, something y'all want to do with that. Something kind of blew me away towards the end. They were talking about a conflict. And there was a group, I want to say they were the Assyrians, I don't remember the name, a group in southern Bhutan. And Bhutan is the north of India, south of China, between two mega countries. That don't exist, neither one exists, they don't exist. I guess I don't believe in nations, they don't exist. Your colonizers came up with it, they don't exist. There's a whole bunch of different people being forced to live together in a forced labor society, like America, like the rest of them. So India had an issue because the Assyrians, I know I'm saying it wrong, you know, but I do the best that I can. They were going across the border doing raids or something. India said, you need to deal with them or we're going to deal with them. So the king in Bhutan, which by the way, the king lives in a cabin. Now, mind you, he does have 4 wives. So the guys are like, yes, that's happiness. No, it's not. No, it's not. Don't believe that. Don't believe that polygamy is happiness. You got one, can't even handle one. See, can't even handle one. Don't even think about 2. Plus, she'll kill you anyway. But, and plus, watch the show Big Love. That'll kind of explain to you. It's not what you think it is. It's just not completely. The life expectancy of a man in polygamy is a lot shorter than the life expectancy of a man that's not in polygamy. Just trust me. You know, but if that's what you want to do, I'm good with that. I don't judge. I don't judge. I'm just about it being equal. So if the wife wants to have multiple husbands, she can have that too. Why? Because you know what, to me, if that's what makes her happy, then she should have 4 or 5 husbands. Have one out there raking the leaves, the other cleaning the garden, the other. I'm not even gonna go through because I see what y'all women post about having 5 boyfriends or something, one for everything. I don't even want to talk. We're not gonna go there. But I don't judge. It's not my place to judge. I come from a religion I'm not supposed to judge. I came from a religion that a God said that you have free will. If that's what makes you happy, I want you to be happy. That's what makes those guys happy. Then they should be happy. But so anyway, he lives in a cabin. All citizens are equal. Everybody wears pretty much the same thing. You can't tell the ones who are doing well from the ones who aren't doing well. And his main goal was to get rid of himself, in which he did. He's like, I don't want to be the king. We don't need a king. Like, why do we need a king? He was facilitating. He wasn't governing. He was facilitating. And he said, we don't need that. So they prioritize a couple things, but one situation I want to talk about. So these Essene guys were coming across the border. Let me turn the music down a little bit. It's loud in my ear. So they were coming across the border. And India said, you need to take care of these people. So the king went down there and gave everybody an apple. Gave everybody an apple and sat down to talk to see if they could talk it out. Couldn't talk it out. So the king went back and got his army together, raised up an army of 9,000. And how did he know he needed 9,000? Because he gave them all apples. This is the wisdom that comes out of the people just come from ancient wise cultures. We know exactly how many we need. They got this many, we need this many. Raised an army. He went down there. I might mess up some of the story. But they beat him. I think 180 soldiers died, more on the Essene side than on the Bhutanese side. And the king said there won't be any celebration. The war is won. The fight is over. But war is never anything to celebrate. War is never anything to be cheered. You never jump up and get excited and happy because you murdered people. So they didn't celebrate. They had a memorial. He built a memorial for all the soldiers that died on both sides. War is shamed in their society. Violence is shamed in their society. It's never cheered. Amazing, amazing story. And a beautiful people. Because war doesn't make people happy. Violence doesn't make anybody happy. So it blew me away. It's profound. Profound that you would have a government on the planet that's so smart, so wise, and they get it. That they won't cheer the monkey mind. That they don't cheer the reptilian brain and violence. I want to go there. I'm going to show you a little bit of it. Because this blessed me and it blew me away. I know, somebody get on me. Somebody told me the other day, what did they tell me? Something about Christianity the other day. Somebody was getting on me. I don't know. I was it here? It was an Instagram. I forgot what it was. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm clueless. And I used to think just like you when I was an atheist. And I said, you know what, lady? I said, I'm not an atheist. I love you, but you don't know me. I'm not an atheist. I spent my whole life in the church. I know. That's how I know that these Christian people, they're not really Christian people. Y'all know, I'm going to tell you something about Christianity real quick. You realize that it is the position, because I like to tell everybody, I like to tell the tales. Read the Bible back and forth many times. Studied it, taught it, led Bible studies, youth pastor, did all of that nonsense. And I explained that to her. But I get there's people want to pick and choose what they want to follow. I understand that. But as a person in the Christian faith, let me tell you one thing you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to be a peacekeeper. And we don't even keep no damn peace. The conservatives, there's nothing peaceful they want to keep. They're making war everywhere they go. But you're not even supposed to be a peacekeeper. I'm gonna give you a little hint, a little thing, a quick study if you want to understand what these people who say they're Christians are supposed to be doing, what the Christ taught them. There's a book by a gentleman named Ken Sande called Peacekeepers, I think it's called. I read it a long time ago. And in the book, he outlined it very simple. And why am I talking about this? Because it lines right up with Buddhism. It lines right up with all the ancient wisdoms. He said it was the job, and he gives you all the Christian scriptural reference. It is the job of the Christian to go out and find people who have any problem with them and solve that problem. It is the book laid out all the scripture showing that the ancients believed in the Christian religion that you can't have anybody that's upset with you. You can't go to sleep at night with people who have angst against you. It is your job to go out and find people that have something wrong with you and solve it. It is your job to make happiness. It is your job to pursue happiness. It is your job to make sure that your existence, what you believe, what you did, what you do, what you think about, don't destroy anybody else's happiness. It is your job and requirement to make sure other people have the free will that allow them to be happy. That's why I don't see religion and science as separate. I really don't. I don't really see Christianity separate from Buddhism, separate from Hindu, separate from Islam. And now some of them aren't religions, some of them are belief systems and all that stuff. I know it gets complicated, but I think they all have the same basic message. You love each other, you take care of each other. Your neighbor comes up to your house, they want food. You don't put more border guards out and shoot them. You feed them. That's real. That's real Christianity. So that's why I very rarely do I even say anything about it, because I really don't want to be affiliated with modern Christianity, because it has nothing to do with Christ. It's all about kings and lords and worshiping books and altered scriptures that were taken from the Library of Alexandria to form a new religion. So that's why I don't want to be associated with it. But I believe in Christ, because Christ taught the things that the Bhutanese are doing. So let me show you this. The Bhutanese are amazing people. Gross national happiness. A government that actually serves its people would serve its people's happiness, wouldn't it? A government that actually is there for the people would serve its people's happiness. That would be one of the highest priorities, if not the highest. A government that actually serves its people wouldn't be there for Wall Street. It wouldn't be there for big bankers. It wouldn't be there for oil companies lying to both sides of the argument to make a lot of money. It wouldn't be there for their own greed. The king doesn't even want to be the king, which is why he left. And it's funny, now they have a prime minister, which is the interesting part. So they lived this way for a while. Very sustainable. But the king wanted to fire himself. He's like and he gave the citizens the ability to vote him out. And the citizens wouldn't vote him out. He's like, get rid of me. Y'all got to get rid of me. He's like, no, we're not going to get rid of you. You're doing a great job. You are making us happy. It's insane. Which is part of the insane part. They got television, which I don't know how long that's going to last. They got television now. But they watch what comes in. And they teach people about the violent world and the things that we believe out here and kill and murder each other for a gross domestic product. It was a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing. And so finally, you got to a point where they put the prime minister in. So the prime minister was working with education. He said, you know, the future, and the Dalai Lama says this a lot, that the future of the world is always the kids, that the future of happiness, the future of everything, it's always about them. How do you solve conflict? You solve it through the children. Because if they grow up and they see each other as brothers and they work together, they see each other as sisters, they respect each other's sovereignty, you don't have conflict. You know, in Earth that accepts it. I know people, I say something sometimes, they're like, wow, you say stuff about the Dalai Lama, it's not Christian. I say things about the Dalai Lama because it's true. I don't care what he believes. If what he said is true, I'm gonna repeat it. The earth is one big family. And if people actually believed in their religions and they believed in their science that we are one family, because they all say that, we would solve conflict as family. Which means we would act like adults. We would talk through our problems. We wouldn't fight through our problems. We wouldn't use force to dominate and force someone. When we have a conflict, we'd work together. So happiness. I'm going to show you a little bit of walkthrough. I think this was an old 60 minutes thing here. Let me see, where is this at? Right here. Check this out.
Its mere existence in one of the world's toughest neighborhoods is itself a small miracle. China leans on it from the north, India to the south.
We have survived for centuries. In fact, ever since recorded history, Bhutan has always been a sovereign, independent country. With China, we have no difficulties of any kind. With India, we have excellent relations.
All one of them has to do is cough, and Bhutan can catch pneumonia, correct?
Yes, that is true. But we are hopeful and we are confident that if they do cough, they will not be facing Bhutan.
It's only in the last 30 years that Bhutan emerged from an almost medieval isolation to gingerly taste some fruits of the 20th century. The chief of state is Good King Jigme Singye Wangchuck, a monarch enlightened enough to not give interviews. He does give his subjects the power to remove him from the throne. He lives in a log cabin in the woods and leaves ceremonial duties to his 4 wives, all of whom are sisters. Day-to-day governance is left to a bunch of U.S. college graduates like the foreign minister.
Penn State is asked to root for the Nittany Lions.
So you...
I'm gonna stop there. Did you catch that? A couple things. But did you catch that? They actually have governors who come from the West. Imagine that. I know you thought there were some backwoods people, some Tibetan people hanging in the mountains with the yaks. No, 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 no. We understand how to make each other happy. This brother right here went to Penn State, right down the street, not too far. So this is a merger of Western philosophies with Eastern, right? It's not just some backward egalitarian thing where you think it's homesteading and rough life, whatever. No, they have a methodical approach to how to solve problems. And they got the other thing that I've mentioned there. They got China to the north, India to the south. Why is that? Well, it could be a problem, right? Because China could cough. China could decide to just swallow them up. And I doubt anybody would do anything about it. But China shouldn't exist. This is why I keep saying, China shouldn't exist. India shouldn't exist. The only reason they exist is because kings and lords wanted to be wealthy and super powerful, and they got a whole bunch of people to believe in them and killed and murdered and raped them and drew a border around them. That's why I don't believe in borders, right? When you got big nations, you got big problems. When you have small communities like this, you have significantly less problems, and you have significantly smaller disasters, and you have more diverse approaches to finding happiness for people. So I'm gonna keep going.
Remain a good alumnus?
Oh yes, I follow the activities in my university very closely.
And others from Berkeley, Wisconsin, and Tufts. They, like virtually everyone in Bhutan, adhere to a national dress code, making it difficult to distinguish between prince and pauper. Bhutan's austere form of Buddhism is also a constant reminder to all about the perils of power.
Power and privilege definitely corrupt the soul.
Did you hear that? Power and privilege definitely corrupt the soul. Very true. This is what we've been talking about. Money and power ruin people. It literally breaks people. This is what I think Brother Jay this is what Brother Jay talks about, is people flip out and they want to eat the rich. You don't want to eat the rich. You don't want their problems. Like I said, I got up to that cusp and I sniffed. I was good. I was going good in corporate America. I was good. I was working for the Fortune 500. I was heading in that direction. Boy, about to sell y'all all out. I was about to sell y'all out. Oh, I was going to sell you out. drive by the bins in the house, and I started sniffing. I sniffed the people in my family that had a little wealth and influence. I sniffed the people in my community, had a little wealth and influence. I sniffed my manager a little bit, looked at his life, looked at his kids and wife and the problems they have, and sniffed, and it's like, oh, y'all stink. Oh, ugh. You know, those problems that those people have, you may not want. I made my determination. I don't want it. I don't know why, but I grew up with a lot of people, and they had common sense as children. But when they got up there and they started making a little money, opened a business, the vast majority of them lost their damn minds, because power and privilege make you beholden to the society that gave you the power and the privilege. And you lose that power and the privilege if that society falls, which is why you have people as black as the day is night. Is the day night? Night is day. Black as the night is night. Who just came from slavery. And they are happily enslaving all the people they can in prison. They're happily living on slave labor in other countries. They don't give two damns about Africa, India, anywhere else slaves are coming from, because they're beholden to the power and that privilege. You're not supposed to have power over other people. It ruins you. It destroys your soul. You're not supposed to have the ability to do those things. You're not supposed to be able to overrule anyone's sovereignty. So that's what I love. I love they have a constitution. It's about sovereignty. Everybody's equal, men and women across the board. There is no way that you can subdue anybody, right? They grow cannabis. Yes, they grow cannabis. See, there's some consistencies about the happy people. They grow cannabis, I think, for the pigs. I think the pigs eat a whole bunch of cannabis, so they're all big and fat and healthy. All right, let's talk a little more.
That for yourself?
Yes, I say that for myself, yes. I have to remind myself continuously.
The country is free of the more familiar kinds of public corruption. No fleets of Mercedes, no racks of Armanis, the hallmarks of third world aristocracies. There's also no democracy, which Kinley Dorji, a Columbia University man and the editor of Bhutan's only paper, says is just fine.
Why do we need to adopt democracy for the sake of democracy? What is important about democracy? And to us, it's...
Because it's democracy, man. What is these people crazy? Of course you gotta adopt democracy because it's democracy. Of course. It's just democracy. It means it's a good thing. It has to be. It's democracy. You should take the democracy because it's democracy, because they're handing it out. And if you don't take it, they're gonna shove a whole bunch of drones in your country. All right, I'm gonna I'm not getting into Plato this morning. I'm just
seems that the values are important, not the facade, not just electoral democracy. We have it all around us in Asia, and how much does it work?
Bhutan's system is like some fairy tale kingdom in which there's an understanding, an unwritten social contract that neither ruler nor ruled will violate.
Oh, wow. Social contract, values, all the good stuff. So let's talk about that for a minute. What's the point if you don't have values? What's the point of democracy if it has no values, if it's morally bankrupt, if it is an abomination that causes desolation? What is the point of socialism or communism if it has no values? What is the point of instilling the values on the people in that country? Say you get it right, but you give all that power up to a big, massive nation, and that nation is murdering people in other countries with no value. Right? What's the point? If you don't have values, the facade of government doesn't even matter. This is why I love it. This is why I believe in all this spiritual stuff. I do, because there's no way that people all around the world will have this same understanding now. That the facades are useless. The facades are always a lie and a game and a joke to get poor people to buy into things that billionaire cronies roll out. It's about the values. It's not about the name. Like I would love it. I'm not gonna tell you what to do because I don't tell nobody what to do. I just love it if we can stop with the capitalism, communism, socialism. I would love it. You can do anything you want, but it's about values. If you don't have the core values, then you can get people who are supposed to be Christian out there making peace with all the nations they destroyed, taking care of them, giving the shirts off their backs, instead of Christians lining up to shoot and murder people at the border and invade the next country. because they're not Christian. They don't have the values. It is all about values, core natural law, core spiritual values. Always about that. Doesn't matter the facade.
I get the feeling that you don't necessarily think that democracy, as we think of democracy, is necessarily the best thing for this country.
Well, what is important to the people, basically, in a developing country? It's water, safe drinking water. It is good health. It is having a home. It is receiving education.
All of which the government, in its official plan, has reduced to a single phrase.
Gross national happiness is, in fact, what this country is pursuing. It, in fact, is what every human being really pursues in life.
Gross national happiness, to me, is a blend of economic development, of spiritual values, of a rich culture.
Gross national happiness. Any American politician or bureaucrat would be laughed off the platform trying to sell that one. But here it is quite simply the goal and purpose of responsible government. They hope to achieve it, they say, by carefully selecting what the West is doing right, but rejecting our cynicism and our consumerism, even when it comes to television.
And so a politician would be laughed off the stage in the West for bringing it up. Why? Why would a politician be laughed off the stage talking about your happiness and making your kids happy? Why in the world? Why? Who would do the laughing? Who actually would be laughing at a politician talking about we're going to now prioritize the happiness of the American people because we're the American government? What politician in Germany would say, you know what? We've decided we need to make Germans happy. Why would they be laughed off the stage? Because we're slaves. We are slaves to a system. We love competition, and we're okay stealing from each other through the education system, degrees, and getting higher jobs. Why? Because we want power and we want privilege. We don't want happiness for our children. We want them to compete. We want the monkey mind. We want the reptilian mind. We want to keep survival of the fittest and die and eat the weak. Because we're lost. We're a lost people, a complete lost people. But that's why I say the problem is always on us. Like, it always comes back to us. It always comes back to, we get the government we deserve. If we were to force government to actually focus and prioritize on happiness, well-adjusted, healthy human beings, if we'd stop saying silly, dumb things like, well, if you don't get a job, you're a bum. If we don't stop saying stupid things, like, why can the Dalai Lama sit back and think of things like this up? Why can these people sit back and, how in the world do they have the time? Where's that much time in the day? Because they're not forced labor slaves. There are some people that's what they're supposed to do. As we roll into the automation world, there are some people who should just sit back and think of things and solve problems and do philosophy. These are things that move us forward. The great minds of our time weren't forced labor slaves. Aristotle wasn't forced. Now, mind you, a lot of them grew their own food, which is the interesting part. And that's why I think we're in a critical place in society right now, right? In the world. Because most people don't want something like this because they sit back and they think, well, I don't want to grow my own food. I don't want to have to farm. We are now on the cusp of 100% automated growing of food and mostly farming. 100%. So now imagine this. We are coming into a time where human beings could actually be born and just say, go live your life. Do whatever you want to do. You want a job? Get a job. You want to go work on solar panels and design things? Go do that. You want to paint? Paint. You want to be a musician? Musician. We are actually at that time. But I agree with him that any politician that brought it up in the West would be laughed off the stage because we got too much hate. We have too much hate for our neighbor. And I got, I'm a segue a little bit. I got pulled into a conversation last night. Oh my goodness. Oh, who did that? Jay did that. Jay did this one to me. I was like, Y'all see the bags under my eyes? See the bags under my eye? Jay, what he going up fussing at people this morning? I know he always doing that. Look at the bags under my eye. Jay put them under there. Jay put it because he tagged me in that Joe Rogan podcast. I guess it was yesterday. I haven't watched the Rogan podcast in a while, and it was a great one. Oh, it's phenomenal. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. You know, again, we're all connected. We're all related, because when people start coming up with ideas that you have and everybody else having the same damn time, it's because they're true. So what it was about, oh, he went off about, he had two educators on there, and they were going through, they were going through this stuff about like cultural appropriation. They were going through this, hatred of the white man, and how the white people supposed to just bow down and give homage to minorities when they, well, I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's funny to me. It's not funny. It's sad. It actually is sad. But they were going through what the universities are teaching children. That the white man is bad, that you gotta hate the white man. Identity, we talk about it all the time. Races and cultures, they don't exist. I keep saying it. But we're raising kids to have hatred. And I was kind of laughing about it. I want you to watch it. I didn't watch the whole thing. I was trying to go to sleep. I couldn't go to sleep because then it came up with fat privilege. What was it called? Thin privilege? And I was trying to go to sleep, and they just kept coming up with more and more ridiculous things that they're teaching kids in colleges. And then I understood. And then a light went on. A light went on. Because I was, I'm going to go back, say probably about 5 years ago or something, back when I used to listen to Alex Jones here and there. Because I listen to everybody. I want everybody's perspective. And I remember him talking about what liberal universities were teaching. And they were teaching racism. And I didn't pay too much attention to it. I was like, you know what, there might be one, two, something like that. Apparently, there are a lot of them. And they're teaching young kids, if they're white, to hate themselves. They're teaching all the other kids to hate them too. And that you can't speak up if you're not a certain thing. If you're not Native American, you can't speak on anything Native American. If you're not white, you can't speak on anything white. If you're not black, you can't speak on anything black. And this is the biggest pile of horse crap I've ever heard in my life. If you're not women, you can't speak up for women. Listen, if you're a human being, this is what I'm saying, that people, we're so lost as a people. We are so lost in these identity games. Why does conflict exist? Because somebody wants to take what you have and they can get a whole bunch of other people together to fight you. Why? Usually based in identity. You identify with something. We got to get past this. I keep saying races and cultures and religions, they are figments of your imagination. They don't exist at all, not in any form of significance. You picked and chose a timestamp in history and said, I'm that. Do you know how false and phony that is? Do you know how stupid and ridiculous that is? Because we're all related. We all are the same culture, and we're all family. Anybody can speak up for anybody. You always, don't ever let anybody talk you down. This is where you got to pull the kids back. I love the kids to death, but these universities broke them. This is racist. It's total racism. Oh, no, hold on, Jay, I had to think of something. The other thing they had in there, what did they have? Allyship. You don't know what allyship is? So apparently, you can repent for white skin now. If you're a white man, you can get allyship, where you're an ally. And you can earn points back. Like freaking flyer miles. You can earn points back from, I guess, I don't know, supremacy or colonization by standing up. We don't give you a point system. And the more I listen to this ridiculous, I'm like, this is a video game. Like, this is childish. What the hell is wrong with these people? Listen, Homeland Security, y'all, I know y'all watching. Where y'all at? Where y'all bastards at? I know you. FBI, y'all here. Y'all need to go to these universities. These are hate groups. These are hate groups. You need to turn on your cameras and start watching these professors. They are teaching these children hate. And it actually makes sense to me now. It all makes sense. It all came full circle to me when I saw that video last night. And it made it obvious where all the white nationalism came from. I thought it came from social engineering and the liberals starting to force everybody to do what they wanted to do, take their children, all the laws that Clinton was writing, destroying the family. And I think that was a big part of it, because I got a lot of friends that went that way because of it. But it was probably this. It was probably the rise of white hate. Why wouldn't they join white nationalist groups if universities are teaching young white kids to hate themselves and the other kids to hate them? And they go around and they all right, I don't want to get off on that. I'm just, it's like this monkey mind stuff. We can't seem to get past this tribalism, reptilian. We're going to solve hate with some more hate. We're going to solve racism by making racist universities, teaching racist things to children. It's hilarious, and it is the most evil thing I have ever seen in my life. It is dangerous and ridiculousness. We need to be thinking about gross domestic happiness and how not to give our children the same stupid ideas that came from the past. We're supposed to be thinking about moving forward and making a better world, not taking universities and turn them into Ku Klux Klan, opposite, reverse teaching institutions. Stupid. If I had my son in one of them things, I'd sue. I'd get my money back. I'd get all my money back. I would sue y'all for millions and millions of dollars, and I'd give it all away because I don't want money. I sue y'all for every damn thing because you're a hate group. You were teaching my kids to hate. You know what? Like I said, I'm laughing. I'm actually getting a little upset now. So I'm gonna change the topic. I'm gonna go back. I'd be so angry if I did all I could to raise my kids so they didn't join in these little bigoted groups and think that they are what society and some kings and slave masters said they are. And then you undo it by trying to teach them cultural appropriation, that white folks can't have dreadlocks and men can't wear dresses. And I'd be upset, but I'm laughing because that's where I had to stop my thin privilege. And I said, I'm done. I'm done. That's why I don't play these privilege games. Everybody has privilege. I don't play any of these privilege games. Thin people have privilege, and they shouldn't talk about fat people. And they shouldn't. Well, you can't even use the word fat. I think you got to use a certain word or something. You got to use obese or something, or obese is a condition, medical, and just can't say fat or something. I'm gonna fall back on Jordan Peterson. I'm agree with what he said. You don't get to tell me the words I use. That's it. That's the bottom line. I am self-determining. You don't get to tell me anything. And if I want to speak up for women, I'm gonna speak up for women. If I want to speak up for white kids, I'm gonna speak up for white kids. I don't care. I don't give a damn what you got to say. You know why? Because I love white kids. I grew up with a whole bunch of poor ones. I grew up with a whole bunch of poor black ones. I want to speak up for them too. If I want to speak up from Honduran kids, I'm gonna speak up for them too. If I want to speak up for Libyan, don't let anybody control you. Remember, all right, that's the last thing I'm saying on this. I'm gonna move on. Don't let anybody control you. These are strategies of abusers. These are abusive universities that are teaching children to abuse other people because of their skin color, their size, their gender, their sexual preference. Throw it all out. It's all fluff. Throw it all out. It's all abuse. It's no different than a domestic abuser, a man beating his wife. All they want to do is they give you this guilt. Why? Because you're guilty because you're thin. Because you eat organic, damn it. And the Bhutanese, they're gonna be the first organic country in the world. That's another story. You know, they want to abuse you and give you guilt because you're thin. Give you guilt because because you're a heterosexual. Give you guilt because you have a certain skin color or you're a male. This is ridiculous. And then they can abuse you with that. The same way the abusive male comes home and gives his wife the same guilt. You're not pretty. You're not thin. You're not anything I wanted in my life. I'm stuck with you. You have to make me happy. I can beat you anytime I want. You burn the chicken, you don't cook well. It's the same exact strategy. It's domestic violence. This is societal violence. That's why I'm saying we got to get past these identities. We got to drop all of this crap. All right, I want to get back to happy stuff. I just couldn't believe that. So I couldn't go to sleep. I watched about an hour and a half of that mess. I was like, I can't believe that they're actually teaching this nonsense in universities. Back over to happy stuff. But so how does it relate? It relates, we have real problems. And the real problems are not skin color. The real problems are not races and ethnicity. If you want to be an ethnicity, I'm fine with that. I'm not telling you not to do that. But I'm fine with people in flat earth too, right? Because if you can have your ethnicity, then they can have flat earth. Why not? You ain't never been in space. It could be flat. They can pick and choose like you pick and choose. We can all be selective. And flat earth is actually becoming a culture, damn it. They got a society, got meetings and badges and hats. They got all of that. They can pick and choose, then you can pick and choose, you know? But we either gonna be honest or we're gonna go back to lying to each other. I think we should just be honest, right? Like I said, my theory in the back that the earth actually is flat. You know why the earth is flat? Because we're all a bunch of bigoted, selective bastards. Flat. It's not round, it's not well-rounded. There's no well-rounded thought. We all have little slivers and pieces and pies and experiences, and we dive into them, and it forms our identity. The earth is flat. It's not well-rounded, it's flat. Because we have all these flat, selective ways of living our lives and trying to abuse other people. All right, I'm done with that. I'm done. I couldn't believe that. I was like, this is crazy. So cultural appropriation. My butt. You know what? It's Halloween, damn it. You want to go be fat, go be fat. You want to go be black, go be black. You want to go be white, go be white. You want to go be a woman, go be a woman. It's nobody else's business what you do. We're supposed to be approaching happiness. If that's what makes you happy, then go do it. Don't let anybody tell you what to be, and don't ever let anybody give you some guilt and try to abuse you and push you away. Don't let anybody convince you that you can get some allyship. That's stupid. All right, let's move on. That's where you gotta pull kids back. Sometimes you gotta pull them back because we got a lot of broken adults in these universities teaching this crap. All right, I'm back to happy stuff. Happy stuff. I gotta get happy. Happy. Back to happiness.
A case in point, the BBS. The Bhutan Broadcasting Service, created by the government to balance broadcasts that sneak in via satellite. The MTV Beat, Larry King's Chatter, all of the fun of the global fair. It makes the BBS chief Sonam Chong one unhappy programmer when he must compete with the likes of Baywatch.
The example of Baywatch, you see. You need people with perfect bodies and very beautiful people and all kinds of things. So people like that kind of a thing. And when they looked at our productions, they said, look, oh, yours is so rustic.
I'm gonna skip forward past it, so I like this. What he's talking about is the BBS television. I'll post the link so you can watch the whole thing. I can't show the whole thing. But it's interesting because what he's explaining is that they're letting TV come in, but they're managing what comes in. And they're explaining to the kids what's coming in. And it's not that they have a perfect society, they don't. But they have the perfect approach. They have the approach of looking at the Western world and what they do well, what we do well, and looking at us and what we do wrong. And then teaching their children, this is why they do that. This is why they do that. Look at this right here. It's not working. They're almost examining. Like I tell y'all, I'm not a part of your society. I'm just watching y'all. I'm just an alien watching y'all. I'm not lying to you. I am. I'm just sitting back. I'm just watching. I'm observing. I don't partake in the ignorance, but it's like raising a kid. You know, you're raising your child. You let them go to school. They teach them something. And then you educate them on what's true and why we should or should not do those things. Oh, good example. Good example. My smart son. Well, all my kids are smart. My middle son. So we got into that discussion this morning. Then he said something I disagreed with. Of course, he got into gun rights. I know. All right, this is going to be a dangerous one, but I'll tell you what I believe. He got into gun rights and he started explaining that, you know, that we should have, you know, better gun laws. And I know that came from the school. And so I had to give him my 2 cents. I said, let's talk about the Second Amendment, because people like to pretend that the Second Amendment is about hunting. The Second Amendment is not about hunting. The Second Amendment is not about citizens arming themselves against each other. The Second Amendment is about people arming themselves against the government. He says, yeah, well, you know what? They didn't have fully automatic rifles back then. Nope. They had musket-loaded weapons. And that's what the government had. They were the most powerful weapons at the time. So the Second Amendment, it's not about gun rights. It actually is about weapons rights. Yes, I do believe people should have tanks. Why should people have tanks? Because governments have tanks. I think people should have drones. Why? Because governments have drones. We are in a time right now. I live in a country that has something called mass incarceration. Right? They put millions of people in prison that didn't do anything against anybody. And am I saying that if they had those weapons that the government would not have done it? No, I don't think that's the case. I think if the people had the same weapons the government did, I know that we wouldn't be building an empire. I know the politicians would think twice about making laws to go in and grab peaceful children growing green plants and putting them in prison to make them slaves. I know that you wouldn't have people marching up to the border from Honduras right now if we honored that Second Amendment and there was no infringement. Why? Because the government wouldn't be as over encroaching as it is. I know there would be probably billions more people on this planet if America stuck to its Second Amendment, because they wouldn't be building an empire, murdering people all over the planet. That's why I say always go back to root problems. Always go back to the root problem. Don't sit here and play, you know, the reason citizens are supposed to be armed is because when the peasants don't have knives, or when the peasants have knives and the kings have swords, the peasants get murdered. That's why the Second Amendment is there. We have a country right now that we could make world peace a requirement. Our nation actually is that powerful. We could pursue happiness for the whole planet, but we're not. Why? Because we have no power. We have a lot of non-playable characters who believe the kings and the lords. So I had to correct them on the Second Amendment. It's not, the Second Amendment is about government not becoming what it is today. That's what it's about. It's about making sure good people have the same weapons bad government can have. Not because government is inherently bad, but because government always does become bad. Those people, which were largely racist, they need to be in some allyship, the founding fathers, but they were genius at the time in terms of understanding that the kings always turned against them. Every now and then they'd have a king like the Bhutanese king that loved its people, but every now and then you'd have a king that did not love its people. They had a little mental illness. They lived in the monkey mind loop. They like to solve problems with force and violence, like the American government today, murdering people in the country and all around the world. That's what it's for. The government shouldn't have militaries, right? How's the saying go? If every problem you have looks like a nail. No. If the only tool you have is a hammer, then every problem has to look like a nail. So if the only tool that government has is force, a big, massive military, then of course every country has to look like some terrorism. If a country has a massive police state that both parties roll out to steal people's rights, then every problem that happens in the nation has to be a crime. That's why you have 500,000 laws on the books in America, and other countries roll them out too. Why? Because the only tool they have is putting you in prison with some guns. The only tool they have is a police state, which means they have to make criminals to make you do what they want you to do, which at the end of the day is what corporations want. It's what they need to make profit from. Done with that. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I want to see him talk about the military, because I think I got
Rustic or not, for the few thousand Bhutanese with sets, the BBS is appointment television. Only problem is, it's often late for the appointment. And of Buddhism that respects above all the natural world.
Because of that, man and nature have developed a very close harmony over the years.
I gather it's a crime to chop down a tree. A living tree.
Yes.
Bhutan's biggest cash crop is the cleanest a country can own. Fast-flowing waterways producing hydroelectric power, most of which is exported to India. But Bhutan has turned down lucrative lumbering operations and made millions of acres of its best timberland into a national park. And though it has the world's highest unconquered peaks, it banned mountaineering.
The herdsmen who lived on the base of these mountains, who grazed their yaks on the base of those mountains, immediately petitioned the government, saying that what's going on? These mountains are sacred.
All right, so I'm gonna stop there. And so they stopped people from climbing to. So there was a love and an attachment. I'm gonna post the link to the what is this? The gross national happiness. Just a quick definition. It's a holistic and sustainable approach to development which balances material and non-material values with the conviction that humans want to search for happiness. The objective is gross national happiness is to achieve a balance developed in all the facets of life that are essential for our happiness. And it comes with 4 pillars. The 4 pillars of happiness: good governance, right? You gotta have the ability to be happy. You gotta have the ability to be happy, to seek happy. That's number one. You can't have 500,000 laws. That you're not gonna get, there's no happiness in that. Two is sustainable social economic development. So you have to develop people in positive directions. There is no allyship. There's no cultural appropriation. There's no hating people because they were born in a certain skin color. And the other is preservation of and promotion of culture. This one I'm going to explain a little bit. Let me go back to the last one. The last one is environmental conservation, right? We need an ecosystem to be happy in. If you don't have an environment that's sustainable for human life and happiness, you're not going to be happy. So that one makes perfect sense. The other one I'm going to go back to is preservation of promotion and culture. And this is the only one that's a little dangerous, but I'm going to try to put it in a package that makes sense to me. Right? Preservation of culture. They are preserving their culture, but they're doing it not in the way we are, from multiple ethnic groups of people selecting and choosing a timestamp in history of who they want to be, like flat earth. They're actually preserving that for everybody, right? They have a culture that's largely peaceful, and so they're hanging on to it. And how does that work for us? That works for us because if we realize we are one family, we realize that we actually are one culture, we don't have a problem. If we pick and choose and put pride in ethnicities and cultures based on timestamps in history, we create tribal prides. We create the ability for conflict. I know it's kind of a hard thing to swallow because people want to be ethnicities. And again, you can be that if you want to be that. I'm just saying that conflict has a tool, and it is identity. It's cultural. It's social, it's religion, it's all these things. Anything that's used to separate people out, it's used for conflict to kill and murder people eventually. All of them have, and all of them will be. So it works in their society because they're one isolated society and they got one culture. So in the earth, one culture, the human race, don't we all have the same cultures? Aren't we all related to the same cultures? Don't we, going back, we all started in the same first basic cultures, seeing each other as one. So that's the only one of the pillars I think needs a little explanation, is preservation and promotion of culture. Earth culture, that's one culture. That's their root culture that they're preserving. They're not preserving the timestamp selective cultures. They're preserving their root culture. They're taking out the means to be tribal. So there's no conflict. They don't have multiple classes because everybody dresses the same. So everybody gets along. They have less things to divide themselves up on. And it works. And it works. The Bhutanese society. Check them out. I'll post a link. Anyway, look at some comments. And we're going to roll. Oh my goodness. But I was blessed. I was blessed to see that this morning. That's just awesome that somebody gets it. That when you have diversity, that you can grow. When you have a government that actually governs and looks out for its people or facilitates their happiness as opposed to governs and rules and dominates them, great things happen. The people become happy. The kids get along. Next generation gets better and better and better. You get to live in the 21st century like we're in the 21st century, not like we're in the 15th century with everybody walking around with chain mail, you know, fighting, using violence to solve problems. People wearing faux cultures, faux ethnicities, faux skin colors, Crayolas, faux religions, for conflict, for pride and conflict. We live in the 21st century. We need to act like it. We live in the 21st century. We need to take off the chain mail. We need to take off the crest of the kings, because that's what it is. You know how in medieval culture they had the crest of the kings? Worshiping the kings. That was their Bible. That was their idol. They worshiped the kings. They live and die and fight and raise their kids to live and die and fight for that crest. A form of brainwashing and control. Now explain to me how a nation isn't that. Explain to me how a national anthem isn't the crest of a king. Explain to me how a flag isn't the crest of a king or a lord that you're training your kids to worship and die for. It's the same thing. The king's just a hell of a lot bigger today, and it's called a government. And they drew borders around people and said, I own all the monkeys that live in this border. That's what it is. All right, I'm gonna look at comments. I'm gonna get out of here. Happiness. I think the kids deserve it. I'm sure people will disagree with me, and that's fine. I'm not worried about disagreement. I just think the kids deserve freedom. I think they deserve happiness. I think every child born on this planet should be smiling just like that. I think they should have the freedom to just be born and go do what they want. And now we have the technology to make that happen. We can make that happen for the whole world any day we choose. All right. Free speech, free press, the Schottky report. Yes, free speech, free press. There's absolutely no Shiva. There's no reason to censor anything. There's no reason to ban free speech in any way. Free speech has to be allowed all over this country, all over the world. Everybody should be able to speak their mind, because everybody's perspective matters. Yeah, okay, we're not going to Okra, Andrew. Leave that alone. Yeah, they probably grow okra there. Oh, you know, I didn't hit that part. So yeah, that was one of the other steps that the king was making. They're going to be the first organic country in the world. Everything produced will be organic. Going back to what nations always had before Monsanto bought the governments and the chemical companies, all the food always was organic. Organic doesn't exist. They're just growing food naturally. 1 apple in the past equals 5 now. Nutritionally, it's soil health. Exactly, Jeannie, and that's the whole point. We don't grow plants naturally. We don't grow them how we're supposed to with a diverse community of microbiology. Why? Because chemical companies, they like money. And if chemical companies like money and they buy the politicians who like money, then they're going to spray chemicals on all the ground. And so the food's less nutritious. And then the big pharma companies, they who like money, they can make a lot of money selling you drugs because you're sick and your kids are sick because the food doesn't have the health in it. It all feeds together. It all compiles and feeds, and it's just greed. That's all it is. It's just greed. Half of the domestic violence are false claims by women to get custody. And that's true, Brother Travis, and you're aware of that. Now, I'm going to explain to y'all what Brother Travis is talking about. He's talking about the Violence Against Women Act, Women's Act, written by Joe Biden, the protection orders that broke domestic violence in our country. So now to get the custody of kids, because people will fight over kids, and that's what happened with divorce court, is they actually wrote the laws where if you have an abuse protection order against you, that you don't get to have your children. And so the big problem I have with that, Brother Travis, this is where I speak up for women on this, is that there are women who are having the living life beaten out of them. And that's what we have police for. You know, there are women who don't have brothers and uncles and cousins to come to their rescue from a guy beating the hell out of them. And so what had happened, and the way I had it best explained to me, was a friend of mine has a domestic violence shelter in West Virginia, is that you got to a point where you had so many women who weren't being beat, they just wanted the money for child support. They just wanted the kids. And they would lie about being beat, lie about being abused, and there was no way the police could deal with all the reports of abuse. So the legal industry made tons of money, and the women who actually needed help died, which is why spousal murder went up after Joe Biden wrote the Violence Against Women's Act, which is why I'm saying don't trust the name of these laws, because they lie. The kings and lords are never on our side. The billionaires are never coming to save you. They never write a law for your benefit because they're all owned by corporations. Earth is the shape of a pizza with a pineapple. I'm good with that, Brother Dave. It can be that. That can be your ethnicity and your culture. I'm good with that. It can be a donut. It can be flat. Everybody's selecting who they are now. Everybody's selecting their culture. I do my best to remove more of my identity every day, because I'm finding out my identity, it wasn't my choice. So every day when I kind of find a piece of something that separates me from the rest of the human beings on the planet, I try to get rid of it. And I keep going in that direction. Is Baywatch still on TV? I don't know, Brother Jay. I don't watch TV. I'm pretty sure it is, because they got half naked people, and Americans love half naked people like Europeans do. Right, good stewardship on Earth should be a basic human species culture. It has to be, Age or Cordilla. And this is why I say that if people actually believe in the religions they teach, the ones that they go murder people for, then they would actually believe in the core beliefs and foundations of those religions. And they're supposed to be stewards of the planet. They're supposed to take care of the environment. They're not supposed to be destroying ecosystems, which I think we need to change the whole climate change name to something like ecosystem destruction and make it simple for people. Real simple data points, and that way they can understand, don't destroy ecosystems. So if we're doing something to destroy ecosystems, it bubbles up into stopping climate change if we're causing climate change, because we're saying you can't destroy this ecosystem. Keep it real simple and basic, and we don't have any problem. Is there a flat ethnicity? I think so, Jeff. I think so. Those religions believe that. Science believes that, and people, that's the debate, right? Because you get science and the religions, they fight each other. But science says that we all come from one root group of monkeys. I don't know that I believe that. Well, yeah, I kind of do. And religion says that God came here and made humans in the Garden of Eden, started from one root culture. So ethnicity, there's only one. There's only one, and has a lot of different flavors and walked a lot of different places, but we all go back to the same ethnicity. So I think everybody has the same right to all ethnicities. There's no such thing as cultural appropriation. That's just adults with too much damn time on their hands. They make up stuff for conflict because they want to sell books and write papers, and it's stupid. If you didn't watch that Joe Rogan podcast, you need to. You need to know what they're teaching your kids in these universities, because you need to pull it back. You need to protect them from this crap. It's just racism. They're completely 100% teaching racism like it's delicious like cake. And it has to be stopped. Let me see. Love you folks. See you tomorrow. Brother David's out. Let me see. Media is a medium. Treat it like art conveying a message. Yes, Jeannie, and that's the power of thought. That's the power of thought. That's why I'm here. You know, Jeannie, people say stuff like, we gotta get off of Facebook, go do some other things. I always laugh at that, because I'm like, you know what? You think I'm on Facebook all day? I'm not. All day long, I'm growing bonsai. I'm repotting tomatoes. In fact, I had some peppers I got to repot this morning. And so I'm out doing a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm playing on this too. I have a thought sitting in the garden. I say something, do something else, and I'll keep going. You know, but it's important to use social media as art. Art for thought. Art for other things, but certainly art for philosophy. Art for bringing people together. Why is it so important? Because right now, the powers that be aren't stopping me from growing tomatoes and peppers. But damn it, they're trying to censor. Always look at what your enemy, where they have issue with you. If they're trying to censor you, they don't want you to hear an Alex Jones, you need to listen to him. They don't want you to hear a Joe Rogan, you need to listen to him. They don't want you to hear a sane progressive, you can't listen to her because she done with y'all. I think she might be back, do cameos. But, you know, anywhere they're censoring people, anywhere your enemy is fighting to shut something down, that's where you need to be. So absolutely, thought is art, and we need more philosophy and bringing people together. About hunting human beings as the military does. Yes, who said that? I went up too fast. Yes, that's what the military does, and that's what the police do. Not because the military and the police are bad, but the people who run them, the corporations that make the decisions for the people who write the laws and make their decisions, are bad people, and they're hunting people. That's all they're doing. You know, they're hunting people for slavery. They're hunting people for the prison industry that makes money just putting them in there. They're hunting people for the banana companies, and they're hunting people for the rubber companies and the tire companies and all of that economic hitman stuff that happens around the world. That they're just hunting people. That's it. They're killing people. And I kind of think that's a bad idea. That doesn't go along with my values. Doesn't fit in with the value system. All we have is a suggestion box. That's right, Brother Mark. All we have is public opinion. Somebody posted that the other day. All we have is public opinion. All we have is the ability to push forward this public opinion. Something I was saying to Brother Mark the other day is that wars aren't, dang it. What was my thought? Sometimes I forget stuff, y'all. I watch what y'all post, and I try to change things in my head and add to them. The winners of wars aren't decided on the battlefield. They're not. When the conflict comes to an end, that's the climax, a lot of dead people, and somebody claims victory, but that's not when the wars are won. The wars are won decades and centuries later in public opinion, right? The wars are won like colonization right now. We're having discussions around how evil it is. The wars are won, and the final decisions are made when the public decide, was that a good idea or was that a bad idea? You might have the land, you might have the slaves and the people, but long term, when the truth comes out, public opinion decides who won that war. So wars aren't won on the battlefield. I think that was based on a post. I think the point the brother was making, he said, well, The weak people in war are always the losers. The weak are the losers. Weak people, the weak are never the losers. Usually the weak, the ones who win the minds of the people, even 100 years later, for their generations, the next generations, they win because everything changes then. So you got to make sure you lose the battles you need to lose, so you win the wars that drive the direction of the earth. Sometimes you got to take one for the team. And we have a lot of people who've taken one for the team. We've got JFKs and Martin Luther Kings, Mahatma Gandhis, John Lennons. We got a lot of people who've taken ones for the team. In the long story, they lost that battle. But they're going to win the war because they did what was right and they stood up for what was for right. And that's why I'm saying that sometimes I think one of the sisters here said I was naive yesterday. I saw that. That's okay. I love you anyway. I'm not naive. I'm just interested in the war. I don't care about the battle. You know, I'm not clinging to this life. I'm not clinging to GDP, and I'm not clinging to my bank account. My interest is winning the war for my children and for your children. It's not about the battle. Don't care nothing about the battle. Man is nature. Yes, Brother Rob, man is definitely nature. So do you have minerals? Are we going to handle you? Keep praying. So do you have minerals? I'm not sure, Shiva, what you're saying. I'm sorry. I'm up in comments. Let me move down. These mountains are sacred. Yes, the mountains are sacred, Jasmine. That's why they kicked them off of it. I'll post the link so you can watch the whole thing, but they kicked travels off of it. In fact, they limit tourists that actually go to their country. They only let so many thousand people in per year. I wonder if there's an update to the video. Good stuff. Yeah, there is, Rebecca. That's a really old video. There was a good TED Talk. I'll post that one also, where they have a further update, and now they have a prime minister. They got more of a board, but it's interesting. It's really interesting where they're going. They brought in like educators from around the world. They're trying to figure out how to teach the children, to give them, to more envelop the idea of domestic, gross domestic happiness into them. Like they're doing it the right way, and they're bringing the world in, and they're taking what's good and they're kicking out what's bad. They're doing it the right way. And that's why I think we need to pay attention to them. So I'm definitely going to post a link so we can look at that. Brother Travis, muscle cars of happiness. And this is my point. Brother Travis, you should have every damn muscle car you like. Which one you want? Which one you want? We know we can 3D print these things now. We know we can make as many as we want. We need to get Brother Travis all the muscle cars he wants. What you want? You want a Mustang? You want an old Charger? You know, you can have anything you want. It's just kept from you because it makes you go out and work. It's kept from you. That's that artificial scarcity. And then the planned obsolescence, so it breaks down, so it doesn't run as long. You know, I don't have any of that in me where I want to keep muscle cars from Brother Travis because I don't have a muscle car. No, I want that brother to be happy. I want his wife to be happy, his kids to be happy, his grandkids to be happy. So they're all happy with the people who live. Then guess what? Then they want mine to be happy. That's how this works. You know, I don't think you should go working for a muscle car, Brother Travis. Your people already earned it. All your people, 7 billion of them. They created all the technology that all the muscle cars are made from. Why in the hell should somebody keep that from you because you were born in a certain place? You should have 20 of them. Of course, they can't be driven on gas, though. It's muscle car with the microphone in it. You know how they got the muscle cars that they put the microphone in the speaker, so when you hit the gas, it goes. It sounds awesome, but it's totally fake. Can't have any muscle cars that destroy the planet. You got to have a sustainable muscle car. But we know we can make that. All right, let me see. We are in the same species, not the same culture. Exactly, absolutely. We're the same species, but we come from the same root culture. And everyone kind of pick and choose what they wanted as they walked, and they developed these different ideas and eventually ended up one with flat Earth. And flat Earth, as it becomes a culture, so do all the other cultures. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying they're selective. People, they pick and choose what they want, and they expect to control me by what they pick and choose in their for their culture at timestamp. And my point is, you're not going to control me by what you choose. If you choose to be that, you can be that, but you're not going to control me with what you choose. It's like flat Earth. We're not going to change The program's with NASA because you believe in flat Earth. And I'm not going to change how I live my life or what I do because you choose to associate with Irish or Africa or Germany in 1842 as opposed to 1522 when it was a tribe. Do you value diversity? Difference of opinion is diversity. Yes, Brother Rob, diversity is everything. 7 billion diversity. Diversity is everything. I don't value grouped diversity. When a king or a lord tells you what you have to be, when perhaps the climate drives groups to being a certain culture or whatever, that I don't value that. That was something that happened in the environment and they adapted to. You know, a king took over and had a sword and said, I got prima nocture, which I can rape a woman on the first night of her marriage. That's not something I embrace. I don't embrace dumb things like that. Those are all selective. I embrace our root culture. We all come from the same root culture. We're all family. And that's when conflict goes away. When people actually realize that they're all family, and all the conflicts are handled like we're adults. We start cheering politicians who talk like adults, who don't talk with the monkey mind and the chimp brain, but actually talk like they're an evolving species, evolving in a better direction, where we actually want more for everybody's kids in the future, not just more for their kids or my kids. Because your kings and lords will always turn on you. I would drive a beautiful vintage car if not for the stinky fumes and the gas hoods. And I had a mechanic who can fix it. Who's that? Sister Deborah. Well, that's the whole point, Deborah, is that we have the technology, not make them funky. We have the technology. You know what happens when I'm driving down the road? I got a big truck in front of me, a muscle car. I always go like this. I put my nose in my shirt, hold my breath, because I don't want to breathe in the fumes. All it takes is the one little piece of carcinogenic gas fume in your lung to start killing air sacs, and you end up dying of lung cancer in 20 years. Stupid idea. The cars, they can have speakers. Nothing wrong with speakers. They're sustainable. They can run on solar panels. All right. Human problem. Greed and needing muscle cars and new tech. I think it's only a problem, Shiva, if it's unsustainable. If it's unsustainable, it's a problem. If we are using technology that's sustainable, then everybody can have everything they want. Right? It's not destroying the environment. So I don't think it's, I think it's the greed is an issue, but it's what are you willing to do for that? If you're willing to destroy an ecosystem, if you're willing to destroy the earth, if you're willing to kill and murder people for oil and wars, then we can't have that. But if it's just something that makes you happy and it's something the earth can provide and we can provide in abundance, then everybody should have that if they want that. All right, I gotta get going. Listen, it was great hanging out with y'all. Let me see, last comments, then I'm out of here. Yes, Mark, catch up prayers, Sheba, Yemen, Gaza, Iran, Iraq. Yes, we gotta think about our family. Our family in those countries are in big trouble and we need to do something about it. Our government can't do it, we have to do it. Our government's ill-equipped to act human, they're reptilians. They're lost in the reptile monkey mind. More sharing, Shiva, more humility. Yes, it's all about humility and not knowing every damn thing, which is what I love about the Bhutanese, and hopefully you guys look into them, is that they don't feel they know every damn thing. They realize their society needs help in certain areas, and they're coming to the world for that help. But they got to filter. They look at the other countries and they say, you do that better than I do, I'm going to take that. But I'm going to take it in a way that doesn't damage the humanity within my people. You do that, which would help me with this, but that is all evil. That has no values. It doesn't match up with human nature and humanity. So we're not taking that. We're going to wait till y'all fix that. And they're going through and they're picking and choosing and they're moving forward in a methodical, sentient way. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Imbalance is our issue. Imbalance everywhere in our body, in economics, on earth, and anywhere. I'm gonna leave that, Jeannie, the last comment, and that is exactly it. It's all about imbalance. Imbalance brings about health conditions. Imbalance in the ecosystem brings about ecosystem destruction and mass extinctions. It is about balance. Everything is about balance. A sustainable balance. If it's sustainable, promote it. If it's not sustainable, don't. Colonization is not sustainable. Shooting people at your borders is not sustainable. Supporting war anywhere is not sustainable. Having solutions based in violence is not sustainable, and no law that does that should actually exist. Anyway, I had it going. Love y'all to death. This is Gerard. I'm out of here. Have a wonderful day.